Name's James, and welcome to day 17 of my Build a Day challenge. Today, the theme is to build a fairly standard rustic house. My purpose for this is I want to try and get some more detailed exteriors. I've done a pretty decent job with some of my more recent builds, but they're still, you know, they're not particularly detailed. They're mainly just walls with some small color variations and some small sections sticking out of them. But I'd like to create something that's a bit more interesting as far as shape is concerned, while still making some sense. Um, so that's what I'm going to work on. So I'm probably going to be using a lot more sort of stone and wood type stuff here. Um, so I'm going to do my usual routine of setting a palette and making a general shape. Okay then, so this is going to be a fairly complicated structure to explain here. So I'll start with the palette. It's a fairly standard palette, lots of neutral greys that I'm going to be using a fair amount of. Probably a lot for walls and any foundation stuff. I'm going to use oak logs as opposed to oak wood just because I feel like this top texture is actually going to be of some use to explain which direction any supports are heading. This is dark oak and this is spruce wood that I'll be using for any sort of lines that have to be drawn around, and this dark prismarine I'm going to be using for the roof. As far as the shape of the build is concerned, it's a bit more complicated than usual because I really want to have an interesting shape. So what I've got going here is a lot of these sorts of, I suppose, upside down T shapes that I think will work quite well. Lots of varying heights. So once I actually get to the roof, it's going to be a difficulty, but I think it's still going to be something that's worth doing. And I mainly just wanted to make sure there was very few super flat areas and there was a lot of chance for overlapping heights and stuff. This tower is just going to be sort of another section that pops out from within the roof that'll just be the equivalent of perhaps the second or third floor even. I'm not worrying too much about how possible the interior is with this one, just because I want the outside to look visually intriguing. So what I want to start doing is begin working on the general shape and color. I might add some other material for the standard walls, perhaps some lighter white color, not sure, but I will certainly be either using some one of these or some other neutral color to do the walls. So I'll show you when that's done. Okay, so normally I think I have no idea what I'm doing. This time I know even less what I'm doing. I'm kind of just placing blocks down and seeing how they look and sticking with them if they look at least semi-decent. It looks very, very basic at the moment. I still think the shape is fairly interesting, but it's not the level of detail I would like it to be. But I think it's going to really help if I can get the roof structure in, so I'm going to work on that next. And then I'm just going to try and detail some of these walls and see if I can get some extra, information in and perhaps make it look a little nicer. Okay, so the roof is in now. I think the roof looks quite nice, honestly. However, it hasn't really improved my thought process of what I'm able to do with this build now. I still have absolutely no idea. So I'm probably just going to pick a wall, probably this big one over here, and just place stuff down and see what works. And eventually I'll come up with something that I can work with, and I will use a similar style on all of the walls that can be done. There's a lot of these sort of overlapping things on this roof, which were difficult to build, and I imagine they're going to be even more difficult with these walls, especially sections like this. I've got no idea what I'm going to do here, but I will certainly have to figure that out. So I've got something that I don't hate. It's not the greatest in the world, but I think I'll take it. And I'll be doing something similar to this on all the other sides as well to fill it out. It's just some spruce stairs and stuff, but I do think it's created a bit more intrigue in this wall than there was before. So that's what I'm probably going to do on all these other walls. So I will get to that now. Okay, so I have put in some basic detailing. I got preoccupied with something other than the build, so I've sort of ran out a bit of time a little bit, but I've done a fair amount of detailing along the outside, and it adds a fair amount of just general interest. Next, I'm going to work on a very basic interior, nothing too crazy, but I definitely will. I don't count the build as finished until that's done. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to make use of any of these sorts of smaller rooms like this one, but yeah, I will make up some sort of interior, and then I'll show you guys when the product is finished. Yeah. So, this is about all the time I've got as far as polishing up the interior. It's an interior. That's about all I can say about it. I put in some of these oak log supports, some lanterns for some lighting, and then just some random crud around the place. A sort of dining table, some smokers over here, and some barrels for storage of goods. I don't know. This table, I put a skull and a lantern on. Why not? But it looks alright for the super limited time I have. The roof is basically just spruce slabs that I laid out a bit. But you know what? It's not too bad. I ended up with a lot less time to finish this build today than I had anticipated I would. But, for about half the time that I normally get, I think this worked out alright. I would have preferred to have a bit more time to work on some of the details, but it'll do. So, as usual, I hope you enjoyed today's Build a Day challenge. If you have any suggestions, make sure to let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you very much.